Hey guys, it's your girl Samantha, and I just wanted to do a story about this grocery store shooting that just happened in Tennessee at a Kroger's. Something I noticed, because I wasn't going to cover this story because I'm pretty sure they're covering it enough on the news networks, but something I've noticed is whenever it tends to be, because like lately they've been, I want to say this year and last year, they were kind of pushing this whole not even kind of, they were, the media, everybody, like all the black people, the president, everyone was pushing this Stop Asian Hate campaign, even though Asians have the smallest amount of hate crimes put against them compared to any other group of people or any other ethnic group or minority group. And black people have the highest rate, but we don't have a special bill for ourselves to protect us against hate crimes that occur to us. Half the time, majority of the times, the cops, the president, the vice president, all these people, no one even wants to call it a hate crime when it's black people. But when it's when it's Asians, everything was a hate crime. Even when the suspect said it wasn't a hate crime, I did it for this reason. When the one guy killed all these women at the brothels, the massage parlors, he specifically said it wasn't because it was a hate crime. It's because he loved Asian women too much, and he was angry at himself for loving Asian women so much. And they still were trying to throw that in the hate crime category or group so that they could create this bill. They gave the Asians money. This country is so fucking racist. So something I noticed here with this Kroger shooting, I kept waiting for them to come up with a picture of the suspect, or the guy, the gunman, and of course there was no picture. And of course, when I don't see a photo, I automatically know the person is not black, because if the person was black, they would have had their face plastered all over the damn screen. They would be going through their entire fucking background about everything any kind of crime they've ever committed in life. But when it's, especially like Asian people, I notice they're not going to say anything because it doesn't fit their narrative that Asian people are victims. So I finally had to do some research, had to do a bit of digging to find out what the hell the suspect looked like. And because they just kept talking about the one dead and the 14 hurt, and they were talking about everything under the sun except who the fuck the suspect was. Who was this gunman? So I went and digging and looking, and it said 1 dead, 14 hurt in shooting at Kroger grocery store near Memphis. Suspected gunman identified. And I found this article. So here he is. Is he Asian? He looks like he's Asian. So his name is UK Tang, and they said he's 29 years old, killed one person and wounded 14 others before taking his own life. Let's go ahead and play this clip real quick.
An emotional vigil held overnight for the victims of that supermarket shooting in Tennessee. This as we learn the identity of the man described as the gunman who killed one person and wounded 14 others before taking his own life. ABC's Alex Perez has the latest now from the town of Collierville.
This morning, new details on that deadly shooting inside this Kroger grocery store. Authorities identifying the gunman as 29-year-old Uk Tang. City officials confirming this photo of him.
Do you have a motive at this point? Do we know why?
I don't know that we'll ever know why. I know this. We're going to take it where the evidence takes us.
A family friend telling WKRN that Tang's parents are mourning the loss of their son and cooperating with the FBI.
I'm sorry for these families, and I'm keep praying for him.
Authorities searched Tang's apartment. One neighbor here who didn't want to show his face is in disbelief and describes Tang as a quiet person.
Just to think that, there's a murderer that literally stays 5 feet from us.
Witness Jason Lusk describing the chaos he saw. Lusk was at a nearby store when he heard the commotion and started recording, capturing this moment as a terrified Kroger employee escaped to the roof.
I was afraid that people panicking might cause them to make a mistake where they end up getting shot themselves.
In all, 14 victims shot and hospitalized. One customer, 70-year-old Olivia King, was killed.
Authorities say the shooter was a third-party vendor who did business with the store. Investigators finished collecting evidence here late last night. Dan?
Another mass shooting in America. Alex Perez, thank you very much.
And so, as I said, of course, Uk Tang, I think they said it how they pronounce his name, killed one person and wounded 14 others. So he basically was trying to do a mass shooting. He was trying to take out as many people as possible, and he's a coward, so he ended up taking his own life at the end because he doesn't want to face the consequences of his actions. I'm not going to read all this, but I just thought that was interesting that this seems to be the second Asian that I've seen that is doing this mass shooting, when supposedly we're supposed to be stopping Asian hate. And it's interesting because the one woman that was actually killed, she looks Asian, of Asian descent as well. Her name was Olivia King, 70 years old. Picture here with her son, who was in the Air Force. And yeah, it's really sad. You know, it's really sad. And so then the next story I have here, this guy was suspected of killing 10 people at a Boulder grocery store, and he now faces 43 charges. This was published in April. So let's go ahead and listen to this clip real quick.
It was a fairly brief appearance. We did expect it to be lengthy. At least that's what the DA's office said, that they thought that it would be a lengthy proceedings, but it didn't go on for quite as long as we expected. As you saw in the video, the alleged gunman is in a wheelchair. He had suffered a bullet injury, a bullet wound to his leg during the shooting, so perhaps that's why he's in this wheelchair. He didn't say much. Notably, the defense attorneys, they're already kind of indicating the direction in which their defense is going to go, perhaps some kind of insanity defense. What they said was that in order to continue to proceed with the case, they need some more time to review his records and information about some unspecified mental illness. Of course, we've heard from the brother. CNN has talked to the gunman's brother, who said that he had been suffering from mental illness. So that is certainly some indication that that is the route these attorneys are going to go. And also notably, one of the attorneys that was in court representing him, was given public defenders, represented the Aurora shooter in that case, which was also a mass shooting here, but also which was part of their defense was an insanity defense. So that is very clear. That is the direction they're heading to in this case. We also learned some new information from an affidavit, court documents that prosecutors released. They added an additional charge of attempted murder, where an officer says that the gunman shot at him. He was moving left to right. He missed the officer. So the district attorney here charging him with that attempted murder charge. And they also say that this case is going to take quite some time. Prosecutors saying they're still processing the crime scene. They're still gathering information. So this is going to take quite some time before we even see this go to trial. Also, some other information that we've learned from talking to law enforcement officials is that they're trying to determine why the shooter chose this grocery store specifically. It's some 30 minutes from his home. They're trying to decide if he had some kind of connection. And obviously they're talking to family members and other people who knew the gunman to try and get a picture leading up into the days when he unleashed this attack, Kate.
So Stop Asian Hate, right? Okay. So I guess because this is not fitting their Stop Asian Hate campaign, they're not really, the mainstream media is not really publicizing the suspects of these two mass shootings that have occurred this year in 2021, because I don't think there's been too many mass shootings this year. So for two of them to be by Asians, that's definitely a notable issue that we must discuss. So with this guy, you may say, oh, he doesn't look Asian. Well, Asian's not really technically a race, but we're just gonna, he's clearly classified as Asian in the American category. So his name is Ahmad Al-Alawi Alyssa, and it said he was already charged with 10 counts of murder, 1 count of attempted murder for the March 22nd mass shooting at a King Soopers grocery store in Colorado, Boulder, Colorado. And that name, if you're not familiar with that type of name, it sounds very like an Indian name. And Indians are considered to be Asian, if you did not know that. So, looks like they're trying to go with this mental illness defense, which is a load of crap. I know a lot of people with a lot of mental illness, they're not running around shooting up, you know, entire grocery stores. So, they said here the Colorado suspect allegedly used an AR-15 style pistol. So he was there to kill as many people as possible. And yeah, so this is just alarming to me, that, like we're talking about, you know, if it was a black person, they would just have them all over the news, their face plastered everywhere. But because it's Asians and it's not fitting their narrative of Asians being submissive and victims, we're not hearing much about these two cases, as far as like who, I mean, we're hearing a lot about the cases because, you know, white people will love to play the victim card. So we're hearing about it, even though it's their fault that people are able to access these guns and do these kinds of crimes, these mass shootings. But we're not hearing much about the suspects, which I think is very interesting, considering that we're, you know, going through this whole Stop Asian Hate movement. And it's like, why aren't we hearing enough about it? Oh, because it doesn't fit the narrative. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think about this. And in the comment section, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.